In this video, I hope that everything is settled. I want to give my exact market outlook, what I think is happening, and to clarify everything about this altcoin season. I therefore don't think much more needs to be said, so let's get into it. With Bitcoin, I do not think the top is in. I don't think there's any signs of a top being in, and the base case is that the top is not in. I refer to this because of timing and how we just started the post-halving year, because of price structure and how I think it looks very healthy, where I'm expecting further legs upward because of sentiment and how bad it is, pretty much the opposite of what it should be with the top. Bullish tailwinds for the crypto industry and because of the fact that altcoins haven't run. And so hypothetically, if a Bitcoin top isn't in, then how can we say there's not going to be an altcoin season when they're supposed to outperform Bitcoin after that top is put in? I understand how difficult and frustrating it's been holding altcoins, but it was never supposed to be easy, right? Surely along the way there had to be some dues to pay in order to get that asymmetric side of crypto. And in fact, I think in my opinion, to get these accelerated candles to the upside, you need doubt. With these crazy green candles we get, everyone says it's because of new retail coming in. I would argue a component of these candles are those that FOMO back in, those that doubted altcoin movements, realized they were wrong about the whole thing, and then buy back in. So we need people to doubt this entire idea. They are a part of those basket of people that need to put their money back in at expensive prices to drive the price even further. If everyone was level-headed, had the ability to hold, had the ability to not FUD, then we wouldn't have those people be wrong and realize, oh wait, I was wrong, and then FOMO back in. With the rise of Bitcoin from 16 to 100k and what will probably be more, you have to remember that along the way, we've lost a lot of people. Some of which very popular Twitter accounts and YouTubers who got some moves completely wrong, shorted the entire way up, doubted it, and some of them have been gone for good. Others were able to rebrand. But the point is, the only way these moves occur is if there isn't consensus. Once an idea is widely agreed upon by everyone, it typically doesn't happen. If you want an asymmetric bet to go right, there cannot be consensus, because once that is the case, it will not happen. And with how shot sentiment is, especially with altcoins, there's no consensus on an altcoin season right now, which I think is very good. We are starting to see very different sort of theories and different takes roll out, and quite frankly, that is kind of what I want to see. It makes me quite optimistic on an altcoin season. Now, in terms of this altcoin season, this is how I think it goes. Once Bitcoin tops, I think altcoins across the board outperform Bitcoin, and we get a market-wide altcoin season. However, there's some very specific and crucial details to keep in mind. Now, in terms of that market-wide altcoin season, it doesn't mean that something like Filecoin, once Bitcoin tops, will go from $5 back to $200 and then top there, or even worse, expecting it to make highs, for example. What that means is something like a Filecoin, a last cycle token, goes up maybe a 3 to 7x at most, and then calls it a top there. Now, people might say, nice altcoin season, but the point of that is a liquidity shift from Bitcoin to altcoins, and this may be all Filecoin catches this cycle, but that doesn't negate the idea of an altcoin season, a market-wide altcoin season whatsoever. Now, the reason I feel so confident in saying this is because last cycle we saw the exact same thing. Older cycle crypto, like a NEM at that time, paled in comparison to their previous high. NEM fell short as much as 60%. But does that mean it didn't get to partake in this market-wide pump? No, it still did over a 10x from the bottom. I think the key difference of this cycle is that we have a lot more crypto entering sort of this NEM status, and older cycle crypto that probably won't make highs this cycle. For example, something like a Polkadot probably won't make new highs, but I do think that once that liquidity shift occurs and we get a market-wide pump, DOT probably does like a 3-4x or something and calls it a top, and that's it. And with something like a NEM, it wasn't as simple as just catching this easy 1000% plus gain. You had to endure a lot before it. Zooming in, at those lows, we had as much as a 200% pump, 150% pump, a 400% pump, but then you also had to deal with a 70% haircut, a 62% drawdown, and a 50% haircut before that parabola occurred, where, once again, compared to its previous high, it barely did anything. That said though, I think that a lot of crypto this cycle are going to do something similar, especially those last cycle tokens. Now let me ask you, as much as you could have yielded out of NEM during these lows, with those insane pumps and then drawdowns, would it be wise to tell the average person to get in and out during those lows before that liquidity shift occurred when Bitcoin topped? I don't think so. The whole approach behind dollar cost averaging and holding is that the typical investor cannot sell the top on pumps and then buy back in. Someone who has more experience and capital may be able to pull that off, but for the most part, again, the average person is better off holding and waiting for that liquidity shift. For a lot of you who came in recently during 2021, I understand this may be difficult to sort of handle. Every time altcoins go up, it's almost like this is it, and then it retraces everything. But you have to realize that altcoins are obviously going to follow when Bitcoin makes a move from 16 to 100k. And like I said, what will probably be more. So going back to our DOT example for the sake of the argument, to show how that market-wide pump is going to occur, yes, you can kick yourself over giving up 200% gains and then riding 70% drawdowns. But the idea is that you base out, you get an entry, altcoin season occurs, it still like a 4 or 5x, and you call it quits there. But then other crypto who are in a bit of a stronger position, when that shift occurs, it'll do a lot more than a 4 to 5x from its bottom. For example, when we gave it at $100 on this channel, where I'm expecting easily a 10x or more by the end of this cycle. Now, with Tau, did I have to go through a 700% pump and then face a 70% decline, and then again go through a 200% pump and then another decline? Yes, but that's the point, because it's very easy now in hindsight to say that, you should have cashed in and then bought back and then cashed in again. But that's not the point. There's a bigger picture to all of this, which is capturing the benefits of that market-wide altcoin season, where again, Tau probably gives me a 10 to 20x, which I'd be more than happy with, instead of getting what I call shaken out in this area, trying to be too smart. But as stated, Bitcoin has put in a move from 16 to 100k, and as you'd expect, altcoins did run pretty hard from time to time. So you definitely want to benefit from that, which we certainly have recently, getting as much as a 90x on Fartcoin, which I relentlessly shilled on my YouTube and Twitter during that November to December pump period. So make sure you're subscribed for more calls like that and followed on the Twitter. There's a link in description. Point is, during those types of runs, when we get it, you for sure want to take advantage, right? But you do not want to mix that with your main bags. I think it's a great way to kill time and FOMO and to keep sort of sentiment high, but you don't want to see it as the whole thing, because there is a bigger picture. I started a group recently where I emphasize exactly that. We are currently partaking in a $1,000 to $100,000 challenge as a great way to once again kill time and occupy ourselves and let our main bags sort of stay untouched for that big altcoin season. If you're interested in joining the group, there is a link in the description. Check it out. There are limited spots, but besides that challenge, just giving a bunch of alpha and information and a lot more videos like this. So join that if you're interested. In summary, I do not think Bitcoin has topped. I think if something was wrong, the market would have showed it already, and I think it's because of the fact that sentiment is so bad, combined with the idea of how most people are not supposed to profit and win in crypto, and with the types of bullish tailwinds I think we have coming up. As hard as it may be to believe, I think from somewhere here we end up quite a bit higher up, and then I think a market-wide altcoin season will occur in the sense that I stated.